Yo, 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 what is up, everybody? This is Kyle, Mike, and Josh from the Fantasy Phenom. We're back covering baseball today. It is time, finally.
Yes. Opening day, blue skies here in New Jersey. I don't know about where you guys are.
I got some sun.
I should probably go outside and get some sun myself. But it's a beautiful day.
Dude, it's like a holiday for me. So excited.
Yeah,
That's
definitely.
right.
I'll be home the next couple days for sure.
It's exciting, guys. We need to be pumped.
Dude,
I'm calling in sick on Tuesday.
So let's kind of show off what we got here. So obviously you see our three beautiful faces up top, the lovely logo in the middle, and then left is away, right is home. And in that you have your starting pitcher, his quality starts out of games started, his quality start percentage, and his K per 9.
From last year.
From last year, correct. And then the projected starting lineup and their prices. I don't know if it's clear enough. We might have to make these numbers bigger in the future. But obviously blue is FanDuel, gold is DraftKings. And soon to come, we'll have more stats here in these little things.
Yeah, I'm proud of myself that I got the colors right, me being colorblind. I was kind of nervous about that, but it looks good. I just kind of have to make it a little bit bigger. But we wanted to bring this to you guys just in an easier way to look at it, because really position in the batting order is so important when you're talking about stacking or strategy in baseball DFS, right, Josh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you get more chance of more at-bats, you know?
So let's talk about that. So strategies for MLB. And with that comes stats, right? So I think clearly everyone by now should know at least that numbers are just my thing, right? If there's no numbers, then I'm not interested. So when we're talking about numbers in baseball, Mike found some. Mike has been doing a lot of research on this, and I think we've come to the determination that probably the two most fantasy relevant numbers, maybe three, I think you can throw ISO in there with it, is weighted on base average and weighted runs created plus. ISO, as I said, is the third one. And Mike, you are better at explaining those than I am, so I'll let you take care of those.
Yeah, I'll keep it brief for you guys. Honestly, if you're in Slack, I'm going to post sort of a glossary of these statistics so you guys can kind of digest it a little bit further. But weighted on base percentage, or WOBA, as I'm sure we'll refer it to, directly correlates to each type of hit, right? Your hit, your single, your double, your triple, your homer.
And walks.
And walks, right.
And essentially, so it places a weight on each. And obviously, a double is weighted more than a single, right? And so,
just as DraftKings and FanDuel does. They put a weight on that by giving you more points. So it directly correlates to the fantasy production. Runs created directly correlates to the fantasy values of RBIs and runs scored, right? So all of those hitting categories, per se, or DraftKings scoring are included in those two metrics. ISO is just another way to try and find your power guys, which equals upside in DFS.
Yep.
What do you think about that, Josh?
Oh, I mean, anything that you can correlate closer to DFS standpoint is definitely better. I mean, WOBA is a good one. ISO. It'll be interesting to see how much we can get it accurate with those. But I think any stat's going to benefit projections in the long run.
So, kind of how I want to break this down. So, obviously, those of you that receive my projections, pitchers are probably my most important one. I think getting the pitcher right, anyone that plays DFS should and would agree with you. You need to get the pitcher right if you want any chance. And so, pitchers, I'm more so concerned with actually nailing that projection. What I'm really looking at in hitters, and this is just going to be testing, is I'm really interested to see the player's average, right, on the season, because FanDuel and DraftKings price to average and upside. Typically, you have your guys priced at a little above a little above value, right? So he needs to hit a little bit of upside to get value. It's typically what you see. So if I have a batter that is projected to get less than what their average is, then it should be a red flag to me, like, hey, this guy's in a bad matchup, he's not worth his price. And that's what I want to get the batter, because baseball is so volatile. Mike showed a stat that Mike Trout, arguably the best player in baseball, had 18% of his games last year that he scored 0 points. You would never see something like that in basketball, ever, right? Like, you look at LeBron James, he has a safe floor when you roster him. So with batter projections being so volatile, I'm not so much looking, and you shouldn't either. You shouldn't be looking at the projection and saying, wow, he didn't get 8 points like he was projected. I think it's going to be more so on a scale and matchup base, and that's what else we're going to do. So we're projecting the matchup WOBA for you guys. So I have 5 different elements and factors that are going into the batter's WOBA, and I'm formulating a total batter WOBA for that matchup. And then I'm taking the pitcher's WOBA and taking in all the elements for them, and I'm finding a projected matchup WOBA. And like Mike mentioned, with all the weights that are in baseball, arguably the most relevant daily fantasy stat. And so if we can nail that projection, then we're really onto something, right? And so that's how you're going to look at it. And it's not going to be a number. It's not going to be a projection number like, hey, 8 points. How it's going to look, and you'll see this on the sheet, is it's going to be, you'll have 2 columns. You'll have WOBA and then WRC plus. And to the right, there's a table explaining what each is. Average last year for WOBA was 318. So, sorry, 320. Anything above 320 is considered above average. Anything below is considered below average. I'll give you an example. Today, Gary Sanchez has a matchup WOBA of 376. Great. Anything above 370 is considered great. Anything above 4 is considered excellent. So Gary Sanchez is in between great and excellent. I'll give you another example. Let me find one here. So Wilson Contreras actually has a matchup WOBA of 273, which is awful. Under 290 is considered awful. So, again, these are raw stats, right? But it's just a testament to what you can do with baseball. So it's important to understand the stats, and we'll be here to help you with those stats. But it's important to understand how they how they're relevant and how they pertain to each player in daily fantasy and matchup. Sorry.
No, you're good, man. I think just to kind of bring it back around full circle here is just predicting. Baseball is a very high variance predictive sport. So we're looking for stats that are easier to predict and are more relevant to daily fantasy. And that's why I think we're going to focus on that. Also, K to 9 is very easy to predict as far as any other stat in baseball.
Yep.
Predicting the strikeout is important in DFS as well, because you mentioned how important the pitcher is. And that's just a stat that we can really get behind, and really it's easy to understand, and it really does have a lot of impact for DFS on a daily basis. But all these stats, if you're new to baseball, again, I'm going to post kind of a glossary so you guys can really digest it. And I do recommend you guys get in our free contest. They're posted in Slack. Put a lineup in there. That's really the only way you're going to try and understand what value is for a baseball player, is playing it every day and really seeing, okay, my pitcher got this much. If I paid for that pitcher who got that much, I would have won, and just doing it every day and really understanding what you're looking for to hit value.
So I just want to touch on one thing real quick, and it's correlation with K to 9. So when you look at all other stats for predicting how well a pitcher is going to do, and especially with how weighted strikeouts are in daily fantasy, there's a 0.72, if I have my number correct. I know it's in the sevens. I believe it's 0.72. Correlation Now, 1 is perfect. 1-to-1 ratio is perfect. So 0.72 correlation with a pitcher's previous year strikeouts, K to 9, into predicting the current year's stats. ERA is a 0.3 correlation for what it's worth. That's awful. That is an awful correlation.
I actually saw a study that going all the way back to 1955, going year-to-year correlation, and it's an K per plate appearance for hitters, or K to 9 for pitchers, is an 83% correlation, 0.83. So,
wow. See, that's a beautiful correlation.
And that's over 50 years.
Yeah. Josh, what would you say when you build your rosters? What is the single most important thing you look for out of a batter? Because obviously we've touched on pitchers.
Batter. If someone completely owns someone in all categories, OPS, home runs, I think he's usually a lock for me.
You're talking BVP.
In BVP, yeah. As long as it's over 30 at-bats. But I'll scroll through, I'll look up every single person BVP for that day, and if anything catches my eye, and then I'll throw in the other factors, park factor and everything, and if everything falls into place with that, he's usually a lock for me. But I don't know. Previous history, like I check further on into season, I'll check how did the pitcher do last week. If I saw someone get blown up, I'm usually going to target them again that following week.
In terms of stacking against them.
Hey Josh, how often do you use team totals into taking games out of contention at all, or taking trying to find teams that you want to look for stacks?
Yeah, the team implied total is definitely big. I mean, you get your Vegas over under. That only tells you half the story, So what do we have on team total? 3.34 for the Yanks.
Yeah, you guys can see it up here. I put the implied team total as of this morning.
And also money line for those of you unfamiliar with gambling. A higher negative number is a favorite. So minus 117 would mean the Yankees are favored today. Minus 100 is literally a straight bet. So you would bet 100 to win 100.
And the reason I did that, and in my research, I found that there is positive correlation between money line and starting pitchers.
Yep.
So if a starting pitcher is over a 110 favorite, you generally want that for all your starting pitchers as for DFS purposes.
Absolutely. Now, with BVP, just want to spend a couple more minutes. We'll get into lineup or in the games probably 5 minutes. I am a fan of BVP personally, but it is probably the most polarizing stat when looking into playing a player in DFS. Mike hates the stat. Hates it. I love it. You love it, Josh. And it is something, by the way, I do give that out. So every single player that's on the slate, if he has a BVP history versus a pitcher, you will see it. I have all that. But go ahead, Josh. You were going to explain something.
Yeah, first, I went to dinner with a few guys that played for the Cardinals last night. And I asked him, I said, how much does batter versus pitcher history mean to you? And he said, if you're going to the plate and you know a pitcher owns you, you're going to get out. He said it is what it is. He said he knows in your head, man, I got this guy wrapped up. And you know, I mean, you got so many people in the league, playing in the league, and I mean, you may only face a guy 7-8 times, but over these guys playing however many seasons they're playing and have 20-30 at-bats versus a guy, and they know they get owned by a guy, they're walking into the plate thinking about it. As soon as you start thinking about baseball, that's when you already lost. Because you have, a third of a second to hit a baseball nowadays?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Something like that.
So he said it means a lot, and that's coming from 2 Cardinals guys last night. So
what's your stance on it, Mike? I know you don't like it, but what's your reason?
Yeah, no, my argument, I guess, is it makes total sense, right? There's a reason that BVP is even looked at all. When all of the statistics and studies that have been done over the course of years and just like general research perspective, it shouldn't even, in my opinion, shouldn't even be considered. But because the logic behind it has become widely touted. for example, when you're looking at sample sizes between splits for a batter's career based on a BVP sample size, we're talking about like less than 1% of that total sample size. And we can go into further. I'm just saying, like, I've looked into it, and there's been a lot of research done to not only disprove it, but make it muddy enough to not warrant it one way or the other.
Yeah, I will say I'm interested. So that's going to be kind of one of the things I'm interested with these projections. I know a lot of sites, almost all of them, if I'm not mistaken, have essentially moved away from BVP in their projections entirely. I do factor them into mine. So, good or bad, I mean, it is a small weight. I'll say that. It's not a heavy weight. It's the smallest weight out of the 5 factors that I have. But it is factored, and I'm interested to see how it does portray. And I will say one thing when I'm looking at stats. So, for example, I'm going to pull up the WOBA. And I'm going to give you an example today. Chris Bryant. Right? Chris Bryant, his total WOBA, given all other 4 factors besides VVP, is a 374. That's above great. That's awesome WOBA. His WOBA versus Carlos Martinez, BVP-wise, and he has 24 bats versus him, large enough sample size for me, is 229. That is below awful. So I'm really, really interested. And obviously it's only one game, right? And we talk about the volatility. But I'm really interested to kind of compare and go down, and that's what I'm going to use this first month for, is comparing projections and seeing, did Chris Bryant have a good game or did he have a bad game? Did his BVP WOBA, was it accurate, right? Like, the WOBA said he was in a bad matchup. Did that happen? And I'm interested to see kind of what results I get. So that's something we're going to be keeping an eye on. And like I said, in all, the projections, it's going to be, I'm going to just pound this in. I want the projections to be used as below or above average for that day. Don't take it as a verbatim number because it's rarely ever going to be spot on. That number will probably be right 5% of the time because it's baseball. So I want to use it as a tool under or over the average, and if that indicates a good matchup. So.
Yeah, we'll dive in more into it, I think. I mean, we can just kind of transition, I think, using those stats into this game. If you look at this game, both of these two teams have the 2 lowest team totals on the entire slate.
Yep.
If it wasn't a 3-game slate, it might even be a fade at a 6.5 over-under. Generally, I think you're looking for at least a 4 for your team total to find a stack in. But, again, 3-game slates don't come often in baseball. So, Josh, which side are you looking at and why?
Honestly, I'm looking at Tampa Bay. I like all the lefties. I like 1 through 4 with Tampa. With Tanaka, I mean, everyone's sort of understanding and figuring out how he pitches. He's going to throw a splitter. It's going to be in the dirt. He rarely finds a splitter in the bottom half of the zone for called strikes nowadays. Mm-hmm. So that means he's trying to bring it up, which then increases fly balls. So I think just in a home run long shot, I'm going to say Tampa has more home runs than the Yankees today, if there's any at all. But I don't know. Archer's a tough guy to hit, and I think he's sort of going to figure out his groove this year. I know he got blown up a lot. You can see in his quality starts, 57%. Yeah, he did. But when he found it those days. And, I mean, you can see his K-9 compared to Tanaka's is a lot higher. So, therefore, just balls in play will be down. I have the Rays by 2 runs today.
Yeah, I think, just to jump in real quick. I think you were spot on about Tanaka. If his splitter's flat, the fly ball rate's going to be off the charts. It's just kind of who he is as a pitcher. Hasn't really shown anything as far as velocity to blow me away this spring. But again, it's really about the movement with him. Yeah. Archer, he, like you said, coming off a bad year. But prior to last year, he always played well against the Yankees. He's got a good record at Yankee Stadium. This game isn't there, but just from watching him play. And Yankees are some free swingers. That's for sure.
One of the reasons I actually can get behind Tanaka today, Tampa Bay last year struck out third most among all major league teams at 24.5%. Now, Tanaka doesn't have a great K rate, 7.4 per 9.
It's a plus matchup.
Exactly. The matchup is amazing, K rate wise, and they don't walk either. They're below the league average. The league average was 8.2% of the time for walks. Tampa had 7.4.
Can you pull up fly ball percentages for these two pitchers, Kyle?
Let me see if I have it. I do.
I can get it real quick.
I have it. It's broken up every single one. I'll pull up the home and away one. So
I know.
At home, Tanaka has a. Hold on, I gotta find.
But yeah, I mean, I'll continue here just because we can go right lefty splits. You look at what the Yankees did here. Obviously, Greg Bird batting in the third hole against the righty. I don't know that that's going to be an everyday thing. They came out and said he's going to be the everyday first baseman, but batting in the 3-hole, I don't know that will stay the same. Perhaps they switched up with Sanchez every once in a while based on splits. I'm curious to see that Sanchez Bird mini stack there is real cheap on FanDuel today in comparison to DraftKings.
Tanaka's ground ball to fly ball ratio is 1.32.
I got 1.87.
Oh, I have it at home. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, we're on.
That means it must be astronomical on the road.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can look at that. That split is flat. I mean,
but that's
Tampa Bay with the lowest team total could be a sneaky stack.
See, that's a good ratio, though. You want a above 1 ratio when you're looking at ground ball, fly ball. And if it's 1.87, that's an amazing ratio. So you talk.
I thought you meant the other way around.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No, it's ground 1.87 ground balls to fly balls. So yeah,
almost
two ground balls almost.
Per
he was much better on the road last year.
Yeah, Archer is 1.5.
And this is a road game. So I mean, if you believe in those splits, definitely all incorporated. For what it's worth, I have Tanaka projected very high, actually. So he is the highest projected pitcher on DraftKings, for what it's worth. Now, like I said, these projections are extremely raw. I'm interested to see how they do. But taking into all the weights and everything, he came out as the highest. So I'll be interested to see how it plays out.
That's mainly because of K factor, right? Or how much Tampa Bay strikes out.
Yep, and because Ks are so important. I think when we're looking at stacks on the Yankee side, I really like this. I'm not really looking at Holiday, but I like Sanchez, Bird, Ellsbury, Castro. Castro has a great BVP, and again, I factor that in, but Castro has a great BVP versus
Archer.
Yeah, let me pull up the numbers for you. So,
again, the problem with going to the bottom of the orders in these two teams is the low projected run total. So you're looking at 4 at bats pretty comfortably with this projected run total. So, whereas you could perhaps get 5 in some of these other games from your lower order guys. So that's why order is so important.
Castro has a WOBA of 421 versus Archer in his career. Another guy that absolutely owns Archer, which I love today, is Jacoby Ellsbury. Dude, absolutely owns Archer. He has a 605 OBP. That is on-base percentage. He's on base 60% of the time versus Archer. That's amazing. You're usually looking at probably, 350 to 400 is a serviceable OBP?
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about 600. His average is 559. So and that's in 38 plate appearances. That is a huge sample size relative to some of the other ones we have. So definitely look there. And then Brett Gardner hasn't done bad either. He has a 333 OBP. Chase Headley, don't touch him.
I don't know how much I like him playing in the 5 hole. Ellsbury hasn't been in the 5 hole pretty much ever.
Yeah. I will
The
say
fact that you have, the guys in front of him and you have Cashman Headley behind him, I don't necessarily know how much I like that. But again, lefty-righty splits. Obviously, you talked about BBP.
Yep.
Middle of the order guy.
Another one, I mean, just a punt, right? No one knows how he's going to do, but Aaron Judge had a good spring, hitting eighth. If you're looking for a bottom of the order guy that can get you a home run, Aaron Judge fits that.
True.
Definitely a good punt there. I like Judge.
On the Tampa side, I definitely agree with you, Josh. I'm going 1 through 4 if I'm stacking. Brad Miller, you can even look at Steven Souza, but Brad Miller has 3 home runs off Tanaka in his career. Does really well versus him. Longoria actually doesn't have a great history versus Tanaka, but Longoria's, I mean, that's kind of where you're going to put your stats into, BVP. Do you trust it or not? Kiermaier has a great history versus Tanaka. Dickerson has a pretty good one, so I like that 1 through 4 a lot.
Yeah, I mean, with third baseman, it's pretty thin today. You can either pay up for Chris Bryant at $1,200 more than Longo with a bad BVP, or you take Longo. I mean, they're both in bad parks. If you're punting third baseman, I'm punting in the San Fran, Arizona game. Probably.
Yeah. So
probably Nunez.
Speaking of that, let's talk about that game. Did you have anything else to add about that game, Mike? I'm sorry.
No, we can move on. The only other thing I was going to say was that we haven't mentioned the whole weather situation. So
that's
maybe we see an increased amount of. I mean, and then so the Chicago. Weather's threatening that game, I guess. Perhaps it's the fact that it's a long ways away, and late swap doesn't really help you on a 3-game slate at all. Actually,
we will know before 4 though. So if you did go Lester or something, and you can pivot to Bumgarner before 4:00.
True that. And then the fact on DraftKings you have to play 2 starting pitchers. This first week is going to be, or at least this slate and tomorrow's slate is going to be tough because you're going to have to roster 2 aces. You don't have to, but today you definitely do. So it makes lineup building tough. You're going to have to find cheap stacks. So that's why I find myself looking at this Yankee-Tampa Bay game a little bit more than I would usually.
I don't know. I'm thinking I'm going against Vegas today. I don't see the Arizona San Fran the highest. I guess the only reason they're thinking that is because Greinke, how bad he is in Arizona. But I don't know. I don't see this game being the highest over under.
That's fair.
That's just me.
Something that jumps off the board right away. Paul Goldschmidt in this game, right? I really, besides Goldschmidt, I'm really not looking at any. Maybe Pollock against Bumgarner.
Punt, Yasmani.
Yeah, Yasmani.
If you're going to punt an outfielder.
When you talk about, and I'm just going to bring up BVP. Goldschmidt has a 393 OBP versus Bumgarner's career. 2 home runs, 6 RBIs. This is in 56 at bats. He has a 283 average. That's serviceable. On the flip, though, I am all over San Francisco Giants today. In Arizona, you got Bumgarner on the hill. So I'm personally stacking. I like a lot of Bumgarner. I have him in 2 or 3 of my lineups right now. And then a Giant stack. So with that, on FanDuel, you can only roster 3 additional Giants. I look at Brandon Belt, Hunter Pence, Buster Posey, and then I go Pence, Posey, Crawford. Those are kind of who I'm looking at. Panic's a punt option as well. Posey does really, really well versus Greinke in his career. Has a 324 average, 390 OBP. Brandon Belt has a 276 average versus him and 30 at bats. And Hunter Pence also does well. Average actually. Never mind, I read that wrong. So 286 OBP, 323 WOBA. So right above average. What are your thoughts on this one, guys?
Go ahead, Josh.
I don't know. Like I said, I think this would be my lowest over-under if I had to look. But I do know that Greinke, this is a crazy stat. He's got like over a 6 ERA in Arizona's stadium, career-wise. Even playing with Arizona last year, he was terrible in Arizona. So I think that's what's inflating the over-under today. What's the implied total? 3.73 versus Bumgarner? Yeah, that's crazy. I don't see Bumgarner giving up over 4 runs. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. So you drop that down to 2, then you're closer to 7, I guess. But I don't know. I like the Giants today, just from that standpoint. But it is Zach Greinke. He had what, like 20 wins 2 years ago or something when he was last year with the Dodgers. 21 wins.
Yeah, I think this game definitely has potential for pitcher's duel. First game of the season.
I don't see Greinke. I don't see a pitcher's duel here.
I think it definitely has the potential. I mean, these guys are both aces, right? I mean, I think they in their prime of their career both better than Tanaka and Archer.
I agree.
You look at the first game of the season, we've seen, it's hard to use past stats when at least when batters aren't in rhythm, right? So, I think the potential for a pitcher's duel is here. 7,700 on DraftKings is interesting, man. So that's a really cheap price. And again, when you have to get 2 pitchers, that could make or break a tournament lineup because you can then pay up and maybe get a Cub stack, where else you really couldn't elsewhere.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Josh, quick question. Obviously, baseball value is nothing like basketball value.
I think it's 4 times.
FanDuel, you get $35,000 to spend. DraftKings, you still get $50,000, correct, Mike?
60, right?
No, it's 50.
No,
it's 50.
It's 50, but you have
10
but you have an
extra.
Yeah, exactly. So it's $5K a player.
Whereas FanDuel, you have $35,000 for 9 players.
Yep.
So you're looking at roughly $4,000 a player. But you only get 1 pitcher, so obviously, that makes it huge.
Yeah, you're looking for 4 to 4.5 times minimum for value in baseball.
Okay, so you're looking
150-ish is where you need to be.
So remember, for those of you that are coming from basketball, 5x value in basketball terms, that's 300 points, right? In baseball, that's on FanDuel, nowhere near it. You're looking probably 140 to 150 as a cash line on most slates.
For cash, GPP it depends on the day. That's like the GPP line in basketball could be 330 one night and then 280 the next. But pretty much I pulled up all season numbers from last year, and I played pretty much every day. And cash was, I think, 151, and GPP was like 167-ish, give or take.
Quick question. What do you think of Brandon Crawford? Absolutely like Brandon Crawford today. I don't really worry about Nunez batting behind him. I do like Posey and Pence in front of him, and then Belt is an OBP machine, so he'll get on base. Span has been having a really nice spring. A lot of guys in front of him. For what it's worth, Brandon Crawford does bat better against left-handed pitchers, so take that for what it is. But
yeah, I think it was a reverse trend.
It is
off the reverse trend last year. I think he hit righties better last year.
No, but, he still hit lefties better.
Oh, did he still hit lefties better? Yeah. Okay, I figured just because he always has done that. But 2,400, that's a great punt. Or if you had the extra $300, personally, I'd go Russell, even with the potential of the rain. Mm-hmm. Because we will find out before this game starts if there is going to be an issue there. So I'd have Russell locked in for 300 more just because he had an awesome spring. I think 7 home runs in spring for Addison Russell.
I think for San Francisco, I think you can look at Joe Panic too. Posey, Crawford, Nunez, all solid contact guys, right? So
Giants
the guys batting in front of him, and I think Panic has kind of been a sleeper, one of mine, just for the fact that these guys in front of them can get on base.
Giants strike
so
out.
If you're looking for a one-off there, I think this Crawford through Panic could be a cheap thing that I was looking at with lineup building.
Giants don't strike out. They are the second lowest team in strikeout percentage at 17%. The league average is 21. So that is huge. Don't expect a lot of Ks from Greinke. I think that's one of the reasons why he's so low priced. You got a team that makes great contact and takes a ton of walks. They're the fourth highest team in the league at taking walks, and they don't strike out. So, I mean, do you just talk about guys getting on base, guys making contact in a hitter's friendly park, right? I think that has a lot to do with Greinke's price. So,
yeah.
But I like that idea, Mike. I'm high on Panic this year. Obviously, got hurt last year, but I'm definitely high on him having a nice bounce back year this year.
So, yeah, we'll see. Park doesn't really help him, but
no, I agree. Belton Crawford, yeah, I do like them as well. Chicago asked nobody likes Nunez, so yeah, Mike just mentioned him. So Crawford, Nunez, Panic. Great stack. I have Nunez as a third baseman.
With speed too.
Yep. I have Nunez in a lineup, so definitely in play. Giants are a heavy favorite in this game for what it's worth, and high team total. So if you buy into that, anything else to add?
That's about all I got for the Giants, but I like a couple guys from Arizona. Just Goldschmidt, you mentioned, and then Yasmani Tomas. This guy is a lefty killer. 430 on base percentage and 11 home runs and 129 at bats. So that's 1 out of every.
What's 10. His home away split from last year?
I can pull it up.
Because that was definitely something
I got it right here,
well.
Kyle. Okay. Away, he hit 279 with 15 home runs, I believe. 15 home runs on the road compared to 16 at home. So about the same.
Okay.
And he hit 265 at home. Yeah, he's about the same. But that's surprising, the amount of home runs on the road and at home with a hitter's friendly home park.
And for you guys watching, I think splits is important in baseball. So with the spreadsheets, you'll find all the splits. You'll see lefty versus righty. Obviously, it's huge, home and away. And the reason those are so important is, large sample sizes. And, people are platoon. Managers build lineups, but GMs build teams around these splits. So it's definitely very important to look at.
Splits are huge, more so than any other sport, in my opinion. That's why I have so many factors going into projections. Home, away, left, right, day, night, time of the year, man. There's a lot of truth to guys that routinely get off to slow starts or, get off to hot starts. So all those things are factors. So it's a lot of research. And then you got your last game, which is the Cubs at St. Louis. Why did that?
What happened?
Oh, it's titled Diamondbacks, but.
Oh, my bad. Sorry, I was rushed.
Mike asked, "What's up with this guy Span? Span's an on base. He's a guy that gets on base and we'll steal some bags. Just got news. Panic is batting 9th today. Mike, does that change your opinion?
Interesting. That means he'll probably be behind the pitcher, I would imagine.
Yep.
But Bumgarner's not a terrible batter. I think
Bumgarner's better than probably some of our batters.
Yeah, no, it definitely changes my stance. Absolutely. Changes my stance on all those guys.
Yeah, so. All right, so you got this game, which was mentioned, obviously. This is in chance. It's about a 50-50 chance this game plays right now. It all depends on how fast the storm moves and where it's at, probably around, 4 o'clock, Josh?
Yeah, well, we should know a lot more by 4. I would say it will play. Just from looking, I mean, right now it's spotty out there right now. Let me pull it up and just take a glance. Yeah, it's moving into Arkansas now. I mean, it says clear through 11 p.m. Okay. Then it starts 30%. So you could be safe holding Leicester in there till about 4, check it, and then make your decision. I'm personally fading Leicester. I don't want it to speed up and then him get 3-4 innings for some reason. Still, it says 11. But
that would remove any chance of a win, quality start, all that, yeah.
Exactly. See, but that's why I was so hot on Lester. Look at that quality start percent. 81% quality starts.
Yeah, so that's a new rule in FanDuel this year, guys. You got to remember that. Wins are not the end all this year. They used to be 12 points, which was enormous and ridiculous because anybody who follows baseball knows wins are the flukiest stat in the world. There's so much luck involved with them. So I'm glad that they finally reduced the weight on those and added in quality starts. It's going to add a ton of strategy in terms of you can take punts on good pitchers on bad teams that don't get run support because they're not going to be high owned. They can still get their quality start, and if for somehow they get a win, it's just gravy.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
What is it, 6 for quality start or 4?
4 for quality start, 6 for win.
4 for quality start, 6 for win.
So a max of 10 points for a win. And then everything else is still the same. Earned runs, -3, strikeouts, +3. Innings pitched, for every inning, it's 3 points. So, and it's that is fractional as well. So.
Yeah, but that you look at it on DraftKings as well. That factors in a lot. We talk about giving up runs and hits and walks. All of that really kind of does factor into that quality start in an indirect sense.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's relevant. I think especially like when we get into the course of the season, we look at like last 5 games, if they're 5 for 5 in quality starts or 4, on a streak of sorts.
And for those who are new, quality start is defined by at least 6 innings pitched and under 3 earned runs.
3 or less.
Yeah. So if a guy, but that he can lose it. So if he's at 6 innings, like he comes out. He goes to the dugout. He just pitched the 6th inning. He's got 3 earned runs. If he goes out in that 7th inning and gives up a run, his quality start's done. It's not like you hit that 6 inning threshold and it's done. So.
Or he could get the loss and still be a quality start.
Exactly. That's why that's exactly why we said you can target a good pitcher on a
target that as as an overall stat.
Yeah, because a guy could give up 1 earned run but go against Kershaw and get a loss. So.
I'm bummed I missed out. I screwed up and didn't put the Cardinals up there. It looks strange. My fault, guys. But off this Cardinals lineup, I think everybody's cheap. No one's going to be really on them against the Cubs, against Lester. I feel like this is the lineup I think to look at from a contrarian perspective.
Yeah,
am I mistaken?
Your punt play?
Nope.
Your punt play for me, Yachty. Look at Yachty.
What about like home run percentages on this team? What would you guys say has the best chance to hit a home run?
Grichuk.
If you had a punt somewhere.
Grichuk and
Piscotty.
Diaz.
Sorry, you guys both said something.
All of them, all the right-handers, because we said the opposite too.
I go Grichuk. I think he has the most power. I like Diaz as well, and then Josh mentioned Piscotty, definitely. And in that 4-hole, I like him. So.
Don't sleep on Dexter Fowler now.
True.
He did get traded.
That's right. Going up against his former team. Started off really hot last year.
Hits lefties better than righties. I just looked it up to make sure.
He's going to get an extra plate appearance in this game, almost positive.
Yep.
Obviously, steals once he gets on base. I'm pretty sure he's got a high percentage of on base, attempts per chances.
Piscotty had 8 home runs versus lefties compared to Grichuk had 7, so they were both right there. Diaz actually hit better versus righties.
I like Diaz today.
I do too.
We got 5 minutes till lock, guys. Let's make sure that
10 minutes. We got 15 minutes. It's at 1:10.
Oh, it's at 1:10. Sorry. We can continue then. I'm so used to these lock shows.
No, you're good. Yachty has great history versus Lester, by the way. So definitely like him. On the Cubs side, I mean, this is going to be. I think it might be actually more contrarian now. If this was an earlier game, slated where the Giants were, you would definitely see a chalky stack here because you have that late swap option. Not so much now, man. It's going to be almost a GPP play. I don't think you play the Cubs in cash because of or either of these teams actually in cash just because of the chance of rain out. But I think it's probably the best stack on the slate. And with that being said, you have probably a low ownership now, I would say, on this stack.
I'm gonna go almost 80% sure the game will be played.
Mm-hmm. Right now, there's a 60% chance of rain in that game. I just looked up. So
how much?
60%. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not rain. Hold on.
I was gonna say it was 50-50 earlier, so if it's up to 60, that's not a good trend.
No, it's not.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Let me pull up my
I
guide.
now have a 3% chance of precipitation in this game.
3?
So 3, yeah.
Wow. Okay.
That's what it's saying. Or whatever go to whatever weather site you so choose. However, in stacking the Cubs today on DraftKings means going contrarian at pitcher. So it's really not even you can do that in cash today. I don't even necessarily recommend playing cash if you're new to playing DFS baseball. Playing cash at all, just play small. Maybe just play in the free contest. Again, that's what I'm going to be doing. Yeah, not only that, but just a process that you trust. I think baseball, more than any other sport, is like you really need to trust a process, roll with the punches, and commit to winning that 51% of your contest instead of trying to hit the home run. No pun intended. So,
100%.
But then again, in comparison to basketball, you don't necessarily have to be as tuned in with injury pivots and like who's hot, who's not in baseball as much as you need to do in basketball. So I think you can somewhat pick it up and come back to it. Whereas basketball, it takes you about a week to get back into the groove if you stepped away.
I just want to mention something. You mentioned injury pivots. This is nothing like basketball where an injured. So if you have a Anthony Rizzo in the 3-hole that is injured, whoever replaces him at first base is not sliding into that 3-hole. The manager will adjust the lineup accordingly, and that guy will probably be lower in the batting order, probably 6, 7, or 8. So that is something that I think people that are new to playing MLB DFS, it's not a straight swap. And
I guess it stinks like it would go without saying, but if you don't watch baseball, I guess that makes sense to point out.
I mean, I'm thinking from an NBA mindset. You come from an NBA mindset, right? You think a guy slides in and all of a sudden,
plays in that spot.
Yeah, so it's nothing like that. Less chances, probably a worse player. So I don't think you look at him for necessarily value, right? Like injury pivots in baseball are nothing like injury pivots in basketball. The value is not the same.
So what are your thoughts on Schwarber? There's a lot of speculation that when games are out of hand that he will be subbed out for defensive purposes.
He's a terrible defender,
Do you think that's something to watch for, as far as DFS? He loses out on a plate appearance?
No, I don't see it. Dude, he can make 15 errors as long as he hits 40 bombs. That's all they care about.
They said he's the best pure hitter on that team.
Yeah, but
I agree.
If you project him to only have 3 plate appearances,
limits
in a given matchup, does he become
not at leadoff though?
True, he could still get 4.
They're still going to put up so many runs this year.
Yeah, especially if it's a blowout, and that's why he's getting taken out. He's probably already got.
He probably got his 4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah. True that.
Per Kevin Roth, it says rain chances picking up late tonight in St. Louis. The vast majority of the rain will hold off until after the game. I expect this one will likely play out fine. A chance of showers, storms, late innings, still around 10 hours until first pitch, so things can change. Okay. But I'm not overly concerned. So take it as you will.
David says he doesn't like Schwarber in the 1-hole. I personally like him. I really love the strategy of having.
Yeah, so do I.
Especially, he reminds. I love the strategy from the same standpoint that I love Carlos Santana in the 1-hole for the Indians.
Yep. That's what I was going to say.
Both guys can get on base, and I think it's a lost art. Too many teams get tied up with you have to have a speedster, right? And I look to Billy Hamilton as the prime example of why I hate this rule. you can't steal second base, right? You have to get on, or I mean, you can't steal your way from home to second. You have to get on base first. And Billy Hamilton doesn't walk, and he hits like 250. So when he gets on base, yeah, he steals second every time, but he's got to get on base. And I'll take a guy that has an OBP of 370, 380 every time as a leadoff hitter.
Points in the bag.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with that is the Reds need a player that can get on base 370, 380, you know, before they can make that change.
Well, they got Votto, but he's slow, so.
Yeah, he's pretty bad at running.
Anything to add on this slate? I mean, we got about 10 minutes before lock.
Don't play Jason Hayward.
So Jason Hayward, for what it's worth, dude, Jason Hayward owns Carlos Martinez. Just saying.
No.
He needs to prove it. Yeah, he definitely needs to prove it.
I'm just saying.
I'll play
owners.
John Jay first. I hate John Jay.
I definitely have a Jason Hayward line.
John Jay might not be a bad play going against St. Louis. He was there for a while.
Do you buy into revenge narratives in baseball?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
definitely. Well, it's not more of revenge. It's think about how much
they know. Yeah, they
played against that guy. You figure spring training and inter squad games and BP. I mean, you know, they've seen that pitcher that many more times than someone else that's not chartered or written out anywhere. You know.
I guess I'm going to open up the floor to you guys, the viewers. If you guys have any questions, lineup building questions. We got 8 minutes till at least the first game locks. Obviously, you do have late swaps, so that's nice. But, you know, it still factors into your lineup building, right? Because the guys you roster at 10 affect the rest of your lineup. So if you guys have any questions for us, shoot them over. We'll answer them.
Yeah, let us know what your process is on this slate, too. We can kind of discuss the process on where to go. Obviously, on this 3-game slate, it's going to be totally different than tomorrow. Tomorrow is really when you're going to really dive into, like, why you're playing this guy over this guy. You know, today's slate is pretty much you're fitting in prices. You're fitting in stats. There's really not much, not much skill involved on this slate, I would say.
Aaron wants to know talk catchers. So, personally, on a slate like this, I don't think this really applies as much. Typically, catcher is the position to punt. I rarely ever will pay up for a catcher, ever.
Yeah, pretty much.
Typically, you want to look for a high upside catcher that's cheap in the 2.5, 2.4, 2.6 range. Guy that has the potential to get a home run, great matchup, great ballpark factor, things like that. If a catcher at 2.5, 2.6 gets you a home run, he's done all he needs to. He can strike out the other 5 at-bats, 4 at-bats, 3 at-bats, whatever, and be good.
So you're saying I should play Derek Norris?
Yeah.
He's got power.
He does, dude.
If Sanchez wasn't so damn good, I'd probably... I don't know. The pricing's off in FanDuel right now, so you really don't have to punt. I mean,
yeah,
it's going to be off. It's going to be off for a while. Same with Vegas, right? Like Vegas just doesn't know, things like that. Chicago asks, this is his name. Zobrist loves Carlos Martinez and hits cleanup in the Lethal Cubs offense. Do we like him? Yes, I do.
I like Zobrist.
Absolutely.
I really don't know baseball. I'm just going to learn as the season goes on. Hey, that's what we're here for, man.
Again, that's why we have those free contests, guys.
Yeah.
Just get a lineup in every day and start a process. Start realizing, how many points you need, what kind of players you're looking at, what type of stats to go off of. Just rock with us. I guarantee in a couple weeks, in a month, you'll have it down and you'll be watching some baseball.
And check this out. Here's the thing. Sorry, Josh. I just want to say this real quick. The best part about these free lineups is we have guys that have played baseball for years in them, and we have guys that this is their very first day. So oftentimes, when you look at the winning lineup, reverse engineer. It's one of the best DFS strategies you can do, and I can't stress it enough, and I don't think enough people do it. Look at the winning lineup and make sense of it. Go back and look and be like, okay, did this guy have good splits? Did he have good history versus pitcher? What was the game total? What was, those things. And look and see why it made sense and what factors led into that. and what factors made it make sense, and then build your lineup around that. I can tell you the number one strategy: if you're not stacking in baseball, you're going to lose. 80% of winning or cashing lineups last year had a stack, a 3-man stack. So if you don't have a stack, just don't even play. You're donating your money.
More for GPP. I mean, cash, yes and no. Because think about cash. You stack a team and then they lose.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, you lose. So I like stacking, but
Kelsey asks, should we play Joe Panic at the 9-hole? I think you can look at Panic.
It's tougher now.
It is tougher.
Sean Bang mentioned the same thing, and his question was, is it common to roster Panic and then span with a stack? I'm still targeting top of the order. I'm not really targeting.
You could go
bottom
reverse.
Of the order.
You could go 9-1-2.
Yeah,
today you can.
Yeah,
not
today
on
you can.
12-game slate.
No, you definitely want a guy in the first 5.
Mm-hmm.
Ariston asked, Drury or Castro for second base. I go Starlin Castro, but Drury is sneaky.
It's interesting. Yeah, I think Drury's
Castro.
I like the Arizona to be in line for some breakout candidates today. Or not today. I mean, Drury didn't have a great year last year. The breakout was Jake Lamb, but that was if you were going into last year, people were thinking it was going to be the opposite.
Yeah.
So.
And then another one, Jeff Mathis or Derek Norris at catcher?
Oh.
Oh, God.
Derek Norris, I'd say.
Yeah, power.
Yeah, I take the upside right there. Again, if you're going to punt a position, I think the single best factor to look at if you're punting a position is home run potential. Because home runs are the end-all in fantasy baseball right now. The highest scoring stat, you get 8. If it's a solo home run, you get 18.7 points for a home run.
In FanDuel, yeah.
That alone.
Guys, the more I look at this strategy for DraftKings, because you need 2 aces, the more I'm thinking this Cubs stack is going to be low owned on this 3-game slate, which is
because you
strange. Which is going to be strange.
You have to hit your starting pitchers.
So say I went Bumgarner and Greinke, right? And Greinke has a subpar performance, but this Cub stack
is low.
Goes off and low owned. Potentially could be an okay strategy.
Yeah, I think DraftKings involves a lot more variance than FanDuel, right? FanDuel's cut and dry. You get a pitcher, you get a catcher, you get your 3 infielders, 4 infielders, and your 3 outfielders. That's it.
There's no multiple position eligibility on FanDuel in baseball?
Nope, it's just outfield.
Interesting.
So
yeah, Wilson Contreras is outfield eligible.
Yep, he's only
on DraftKings today.
Only catcher.
He's outfield eligible?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I got him in the outfield spot.
Wow.
He played some outfield, so I can see it.
You guys want to release lineups or just want to check them out in the...
Here's what I got. So I'm doing a couple different things. I'm going to do a Cub stack. I got Tanaka at pitcher. I really like him today. Gary Sanchez and Jacoby Ellsbury. I got a 2-man stack there. I got a 2-man stack in Crawford and Pence. And then I got 4-man in Rizzo, Zobrist, Bryant, and Hayward. And then another lineup I have, I'm going reverse. I'm going Giants and Rays. And this is going to be Bumgarner at Bumgarner at pitcher. I got Posey, Belt, Crawford. And then I have Evan Longoria, Brad Miller, as we mentioned, has owned him, Kevin Kiermaier, and Corey Dickerson, so 1 through 4, and then with Jacoby Ellsbury.
Here's what I'm rolling. I'm just rolling one lineup out today. I'm not a huge fan of the slate, but I got Bumgarner on the bump, Sanchez, Bird. I don't know if you guys have been watching Greg Bird.
Tearing it up.
Good God.
Killing it.
For $2,400 on FanDuel, you can't ask for a better bargain right there with the home run upside. Brad Miller, Longoria, Addison Russell, Corey Dickerson, Ellsbury, Kiermaier. I'm going with Tampa stack.
Yeah, I changed my lineup just now because what I said. I'm playing cheap anyway, so I'm just going to give it a go and go Bumgarner and Greinke and try it and just kind of hope for a pitcher's duel there. I don't know that it's going to happen, but again, contrarian style. That's what helped me get this Cubs stack with Rizzo, Zobrist, and Bryant and Contreras. And then I have a mini stack with the Yanks with Sanchez, Judge, and Sanchez, Judge, Torres, and Gardner. So that's an 8 through 2.
So I have some ownership numbers already because obviously we've locked now. In this 10 o'clock game, in the single entry GPP that I'm in, Tanaka 29%, Sanchez 41%, Ellsbury 20%. Let's see what Greg Bird is.
Greg Bird's 17.
Yep, I'm at 17 as well. Longoria's at 18, Gardner at 8, and then let's see what the other Rays are. I'm interested.
Corey Dickerson's 18 and Kiermaier's 20.
I have Kiermaier at 26 and Dickerson at 26, and Miller and Longoria both at 17. So Gary Sanchez is definitely the chalk catcher today. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, he's close to 40% on DraftKings.
I think
all my lineups, I've got Aaron Judge under sub 6%.
Wow.
Everywhere I like
Aaron
Judge.
Nice.
Where I'm looking.
Looking for my damn remote. Got to turn on this game.
Sub 5% in this one. It's going to be Ellsbury at 15. Then I'm in some qualifiers. Let's see where we got in qualifiers. Sanchez is under 30 in the qualifiers, which makes sense. People fading the chalk. But, yeah, so again, late swap in baseball. You guys can scream hallelujah once again.
Yeah, it is back.
So look for that, obviously, as this weather progresses.
So.
Or it doesn't.
Yeah. Follow the Slack. I'll be posting in there and talking about it if I see anything. So.
Yeah.
Let's go Yanks.
And again, if you guys aren't a part of the Slack community and would like to be, it comes with the subscription along with all the spreadsheets that I send out, all the projections, all the numbers, all the matchup numbers. So check it out. Again, 7-day free trial. You get all those free contests that we were talking about. You can reverse engineer all that stuff. So, yeah, if you guys are interested, links below. And thank you guys for watching. I'll keep you guys updated on what we're going to do for baseball videos in the next couple days. I can tell you once basketball playoffs start, we're going to kind of flip. So we're going to break down basketball series and baseball daily. So because basketball will be the same game, same teams for a week or two.
Same matchups.
Yeah, we'll just break down the series and go from there.
Best of luck today, guys. I appreciate you rocking with us through baseball. I guarantee it'll become less cryptic. Again, I'll post a glossary in there, and again, I think all three of us are happy to chop it up with you one-on-one if you want to message us in Slack and bring to us your concerns and what's confusing, and we're here for you guys for sure.
Yeah. So, all right, guys. We'll have a wonderful day, and we will see you guys later.
Went pretty good.